As the Power Rangers are morphing their way back onto the big screen for the first time since 1997, we've been feeling a little bit nostalgic. If you want to indulge your nostalgic, nerdy side, make sure you subscribe to GameSpot Universe for everything movie, TV, comic, anime, and wrestling. And make sure to check out the movie reaction video on our YouTube channel. Anyway, before you go out and see the brand new Rangers, we're going to take a look at what happened to the OGs after they hung up their colourful helmets.
Jason Lee Scott was the original and best Red Ranger. Boys wanted to be him, and girls wanted to see his Megazord.
No.
What? It was a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Everyone loves the T-Rex. Anyways, Jason was the fearless leader of the original Power Ranger squad. He's actually been voted the best Red Ranger of all time, and he earned this title by defeating the most number of enemies on his own. Also, he's the only Ranger to take on Tommy, the Green/White Ranger, and win. Jason was played by Austin St. John, not to be confused with John St. John, who's the voice of another hero that defended Earth against alien invasions.
I ought to break a broom handle off in your ass.
St. John actually left Mighty Morphin Power Rangers halfway through the second season after a pay dispute. However, since then he's remained fairly close to the franchise, most notably appearing as the Gold Ranger in Power Ranger Zeo and making additional cameos in all those other spin-offs. So, what's he doing outside the Rangerverse? Well, generally Red Ranger has been keeping it low-key since his days of morphin. He's written a book called Karate Warrior, a beginner's guide to martial arts, and is set to return to acting in 2017 in a movie called Survival's End. Also, he's working as a paramedic in Washington DC, still saving lives. Bless you, Red Ranger. Bless you.
Kimberly, the Pink Power Ranger. You know, whenever I used to play Power Rangers as a kid, I was always the Pink Ranger, you know, because she was the best and everyone liked her and she had a pterodactyl. Completely different to my own experience, of course, but...
Anyway, everyone's crush Kimberly was played by Amy Jo Johnson for 3 seasons in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers before Amy Jo went full Ginger Spice and left the show to pursue other acting jobs.
Bold strategy, but seems to have paid off for her.
She's appeared in Saved by the Bell, admittedly the new class, but still good for her, Flashpoint, ER, and Covert Affairs. She's also released 3 studio albums, directed short films, and been nominated for a bunch of awards, some of which she's even won.
See, I told you she was the best one. You go, girl.
You picked the wrong Ranger to replicate.
David Yost, or Billy Cranston, was the original Blue Ranger, and he was the second longest serving Ranger just behind Tommy Oliver. But more importantly, he was my favourite because he was the brains. Fun fact, Billy Cranston is named after Bryan Cranston, who did some voice work for the original show, and is now voicing Zordon himself. Before David Yost became the Blue Ranger, he was an award-winning national gymnast, winning many competitions across America, which obviously came in useful for those sick Ranger flips. Yost went on to star in more than 200 episodes of the first 4 seasons, as well as the 1995 movie. In a 2010 interview, he revealed the unfortunate reasons for leaving the cast. Due to the harassment he endured from members of the production crew that was directed at him due to his sexual orientation, he became extremely depressed and was eventually hospitalized after a nervous breakdown. After moving to Mexico for a year and learning to accept his sexuality, he appears to be doing much better. You go Power Ranger. In more recent years, he was a producer on shows like Alien Hunter, Temptation Island, You Are What You Eat, and The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. 2017 also sees the release of a short movie called The Order, where he will be cast alongside 15 other ex-Rangers. The Order is about a vigilante group who dedicate their lives to eliminating violent threats and imminent disasters. Sounds familiar.
Saber-tooth tiger dinosaur power!
Vietnamese actress Thuy Trang was best known for being Trini Quan, the Yellow Ranger, but her first acting role was actually an advert for the Church of Scientology, back before your boy Tom Cruise did it. Trang eventually landed the role of Trini in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and played the Yellow Ranger for 1.5 seasons. Like the actors playing the Red Ranger and the Black Ranger, she left the show amidst pay disputes. Trang went on to play a villain in The Crow, City of Angels, the sequel to Alex Proyas's The Crow, which is remembered as being the last film Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee, starred in. She also appeared in Spy Hard, the hot mess of a James Bond parody starring Leslie Nielsen. Sadly, Trang passed away after being involved in a car crash. An episode of Power Rangers Time Force was dedicated to her memory.
Alright, time to separate the men from the turkey.
Hey, that's a foul play!
Zach was the ladies' man. He was the charismatic, cool, confident ranger. And of course, the animal that best represents those traits is a giant furry elephant. Before Walter Emmanuel Jones became the Black Ranger, he had small parts in the movies White Men Can't Jump and Malcolm X. He left the Ranger team during the second season after a contract and pay dispute, but returned to lend his voices to some of the monsters in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy and Power Rangers Wild Force. Man, there's a lot of Ranger teams. Since officially retiring as a Ranger, Jones has appeared in a number of shows including Family Matters, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, NYPD Blue, CSI, and The Shield. In 2016, he also appeared as Angry Fan in the Lonely Island movie Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping. So while out of the spotlight, the plucky Ranger is still very much morphing from one acting role to another.
Return to the sea.
Now, I don't know what those other two losers have been telling you, but Tommy Oliver was the best Ranger. He was the Green Ranger. He had a Dragon Zord, and he summoned it using a dagger, which was also a flute. Badass. In his debut episode, he showed up, jumped into the Megazord, and proceeded to beat the shit out of the Power Rangers in a space the size of a closet. And then, Tommy went on to become the White Ranger and kicked ass with the Tiger Zord. I guess I should talk about Jason David Frank, the man under the mask. Frank has actually had a pretty successful career in and outside the Power Rangers universe. After Mighty Morphin Power Rangers ended, he returned to various spin-offs to don new coloured Ranger outfits, becoming Red Zeo Ranger, Red Turbo Ranger, and Black Dino Ranger, amongst others. He appeared in an episode of Super Power Beatdown as White Ranger and faced off against Mortal Kombat Scorpion to finally end an age-old grudge that apparently no one else knew about. Frank is all about giving his fans what they love, so he also reprised his role as Green Ranger to take on Street Fighter's Ryu in another excellent episode of Super Power Beatdown. Frank also spent a little time in the professional MMA world, winning a number of fights, including one where his opponent entered the ring wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles robe. Frank proceeded to knock his ass out in a one-round TKO. Take that, Ninja Turtles. Between punching his way up the MMA ranks, appearing at fan conventions, and starring in short films, the Green Ranger's doing alright.
Oh no, look who's here. Bulk and Skull.
Hi, girls.
Farkas Bulkmeyer and Eugene Skulovich had the honour of not only being the comic relief for the Power Rangers for almost 20 years, but also for having the most iconic leitmotif in 90s television. Just drink that in.
Since Power Rangers, Paul Schreier has directed some episodes of Power Rangers and the Hello Kitty cartoon. He's also a comic book artist and has worked on the Red Star. Since leaving Power Rangers, Jason Narvi has appeared in a bunch of commercials and now works as Associate Professor of Theatre at Concordia University in Chicago. But things could have been very different. We could still have Bulk and Skull in our lives. There were plans for a spin-off where they'd run a hotel and have a Mexican Elvis impersonator as a supporting character. Sadly, it got canned, but guys, there is always Kickstarter. Believe me, I would pledge.
Thanks for watching this week's Mighty Morphin episode of Screenplay. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave us a lovely like or even subscribe if you haven't already. Why haven't you already?
Do it now.
Do it now. Last week we talked about 5 Disney cartoon movies that we'd like to see reimagined as like live action adaptations a la Beauty and the Beast.
On GameSpot.com.
Hot website.
Great website. Pob2
Difficult to remember.
says The Black Cauldron, it was a major misfire, but there's so much potential there. It should be given a complete reimagining, and it could be something classic. I like that. He's willing to see past the problems with The Black Cauldron and think of it with a new vision. I respect that.
Yeah, but I'm not. So sorry, Eric Van Sickle. He says, there was one element of Fantasia that was made into a live action film already, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. You are completely right, but that movie was... wah wah. But Eric does go on to say, I'd go for a live-action Mulan and Pocahontas if they're true to history. I mean, there is that live-action Mulan, but,
Dragon?
yeah, talking tree, don't know how true to history that was. Also, the real story of Pocahontas is, like, super sad and she dies real young, so...
You don't want to see that?
Don't want to see that on the big screen. Anyway, for more screenplay, make sure to tune in again next week. And if you've subscribed, then you'll get notified when we upload a new video. So give it a go.
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash that like button. Peace.
Bye.